Folks here from Solvares Logistics. I'm now going to go into back into the presentation, which you can see on the screen here, and go through the different kind of add-on elements of the system, particularly focusing here on the predictive planning element. So if you remember, we've been through the kind of overview of the system to start with. We've then been through the demo and shown you how you would plan the deliveries or your routes. And once those routes have been planned, they're released, and they can be released to a mobile device and also released on the system. And when you release the plans, the plans are then ready for the operation to commence, and this is when the predictive planning comes in. So I've got another case example here of a customer that we work with, GEMA, which is a customer working within the construction industry. And they talk about the system being computer aided, but leaving the planner in control. So they talk about the system as if it's like a co-pilot for the planner. And this is really important for planners because, and the system is really well received by the transport planners because they're able to feel like they're in control. Their knowledge is still being in partnership with the system to create the optimum transport plan, that they can make the decisions and they can own the transport plan that's created. So predictive planning, once you've released your plans, the screen looks a bit like this, where you've got all of these grey individual trips you'll see here on the Gantt chart. So these are my vehicles, if you remember, down the left-hand side, and these are my trips that have been created. I have a little bit of available time at the end of each route here to allow for some delays through the process. But at 8 o'clock in the morning, before the routes have started, we can see that everything is as per the plan. As you go through time, you can see there that the statuses have changed. So here we're now looking at a status at 12 o'clock. So here the light green plan has been completed. The color of each of the Gantts now indicates the activity that is being undertaken at that time. So if you remember, green was loading, the dark blue was driving to the next drop, and the red is unloading. So these are quite happily undertaking their process through the day. And we then take a look at a later point in time, say 3 o'clock in this scenario. And you can see here, more of the plans have been complete, but we've now been given notice of an imminent warning, an imminent delay. So you remember we had a bell icon and we had an exclamation icon. So the bell icon is telling me it's a warning. It's not necessarily going to impact the operation right now, but it's warning you there's a potential problem. So you virtually run out of time. And again, this is configurable within the system. And you can see there, my green is was disappeared because I've got no more available time on that route. As we go through, we then get the exclamation warning, which is now saying this is now impacted. Your driving time has exceeded availability, so this last delivery is now at risk. What that does is that notifies the planner right now there's an issue. So in real time, he's able to then undertake an action for that last plan. So he could, for example, he can cancel the plan, contact the customer, say they're going to get their delivery tomorrow if it's non-critical. He could find a subcontractor to undertake that route for him, or he can move that to another vehicle. But he can proactively manage rather than just fail the customer without any warning. My last one then shows at the end of the day, all of my plans have been completed and everybody's happy. So the system is proactive rather than reactive. You're constantly in communication with the vehicles on the road and with the drivers, and therefore able to constantly manage the activities in a proactive way. And this is another case study. Harbe Mar is a customer of Opheo within the animal feeds industry in Germany. And they say that the system allows them to solve problems before they arise. So again, it's proactive instead of being reactive. In terms of the communication elements, we have talked about these, we've touched on these a little bit, but this maybe brings it into a bit more life. So we have our auto messaging where we can configure the system to send ETAs, notifications to the customer. Particularly handy if you're delivering to teams that are not necessarily located in the same place, like a building site, for example, or a farm. You can message the customer in advance. They know that they need to be available between the hours and to expect that delivery. In a more critical case, so where you're maybe meeting an installation team, you might actually want to send a tracking link to them so that they can track that vehicle in real time and see exactly where they are. And then we have the Opheo arrival monitor, which we talked about, which you can see that screen on the wall in the dispatch function, which shows you the order in which the vehicles are returning. And therefore, the dispatch team can get the load ready for the next available vehicle. And this customer, Wesser Gold, they're a distribution company for kind of food and drinks distribution. And this says it helps them to win new customers because they're able to be so much more proactive with their customer's customer that actually it enhances their capability and is a real kind of USP for them. We have an application which I talked about, or a driver app. It's an Android app which is accessed by the driver, and this ensures that the driver is in constant communication. So the driver can message through the app, and the central team can message the driver. The driver can use it for navigation. It gives them instructions and workflows of what they need to do at each particular delivery point. You can see there they're getting a signature, so they can get a signature from the customer as proof of delivery. They can amend quantities if there's a difference between what's on the vehicle and what's on the system, or if there's a damage, and they can take photographs of the delivery as well to prove that the delivery has been made to the location that it is. So there's multi-functionality, and essentially, as I said, it brings the driver closer to the transport planning team, ensuring they're in constant communication. We have management insights. We use Power BI, but we can literally export this data into our customer's own dashboard system. But we have some standard reports that we've created. So you can see here, there's kind of like a timeline here of different KPIs by day or by week. You can have different vehicle groups, different scheduling areas, different types of transport. I've got my standard KPIs, kilometers per ton. I've got punctuality, so this is delivery on time measures. I've got my empty running calculation as well, so the system knows when you're running empty. You've also got waiting time, and you've got carbon dioxide as well. And these are just some of the customers that we're working with in Germany at the moment. We have about 100 customers using the system. We're starting to grow within the UK, and we've got customers coming on board in the UK. We work with a lot of construction businesses because of the deep functionality within the system. We work with a lot of animal feed and agricultural businesses. We also work with food and drink, and most sectors we're involved with. So as I said, Opheo is more than just a route planning system, as hopefully I've been able to demonstrate during these short videos. So if you're interested, please get in touch. Contact us through our LinkedIn page, Solvares Logistics UK. We have a website, which is www.solvares-logistics.com. My name is Tim Fawkes. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me, and you can contact me in that way as well. Thank you.